F-A-T. It's in the name.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor with Ben and Travis podcast. On today's episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the influence struggles. What I think we put it to, the struggles, strategy, and scriptures of mental health. We'll get to that conversation right after these important messages. Hey friends, we've got something really special to share with you today, a brand new children's book that's all about faith, family, and finding joy in the middle of life's challenges. It's called The Adventures of Ben and Travis and the Joy Rider. This heartwarming story follows a big brother in a wheelchair who uses his creativity, courage, and a whole lot of love to help his little brother and cousin overcome life's obstacles. Together they show us that joy isn't about what you have, it's about how you choose to face the ups and downs of life. This book is full of fun, adventure, and hope. It's perfect for bedtime stories, Sunday school libraries, or as a meaningful gift for the kids in your life. Plus, it's a great way to start conversations with your family about resilience, compassion, and faith. Pre-orders are open now, and when you order early, you'll be one of the first to get your hands on this inspiring story. Just head over to benandtravis.com/books. That's benandtravis.com/books and pre-order your copy today. Give your kids a story that will make them smile, laugh, and believe in the power of joy. I'm the pulpit minister at Westgate Church of Christ in Dothan, Alabama, Travis Creasy. That's all-pro counselor with Highland Park Church of Christ, Mars Hill Bible School, and all around just amazing dad and husband person. Mainly because he puts up with me. Ben Hayes, coming to everybody from Montgomery, Alabama. We're at the Faulkner University Lectureship, Bible Lectureship, the 80th, 79th, I can't remember.
Wow.
But a lot of
That's
them.
impressive.
And no, we were not around for all of them. So
No. We're old, but not quite that old. But yeah, it was a really good day. Been a long week. I was out in Wyoming last week, got in Sunday, turned back around Monday morning, back down here, and I love the lectureship here. They do a really great job with it. And not just because we get to speak at it, but there's a lot of other really great speakers. They have us, then they have a lot of really great speakers who are here. And so we got to enjoy a couple of those, but glad to just get to hang out for a little while.
yeah, I guess that counts as our ministry spotlight, Faulkner University,
Yeah.
Putting out preachers, and I think law is their next big university or college.
Jones School of Law.
And then nursing, they got all kinds of programs, though, counseling.
It's really growing. I
think
about
whatever you want to at Faulkner here in Montgomery, Alabama.
They've got a record attendance this year, I believe, if I remember correctly. And they're really growing in a lot of ways. So check them out.
Got to sit in the Lads to Leaders luncheon today, which is nice. Get to hear about some of the updates on that as well. But
another great ministry spot.
Yeah, L2L for shizzle. And then, like I mentioned, we're going to talk about some of the struggles, strategies, and scriptures that go into mental health. We have been blessed to talk a little bit about the college brain, and so it may have a little tint of that to it, but a lot of this stuff applies really across the board. Maybe the college brain stuff will be the do's and don'ts. We'll be focused a little more on that, but just talking a little bit about some of the struggles we face and the strategies that we can have, and maybe some scriptures that go along with it. And so whether that's academic or a job or family, there are time pressures.
Yeah, we all struggle with that, I think. Like I said, I spent last week out in Wyoming with some friends. It was kind of a week that I got to get away a little bit. I think the last time I've really had a vacation away from the family and be a vacation at the same time was like 7 years ago when I went on this trip to Wyoming. And so I think personal time is important, but you have to balance. I mean, I think all of these things are really going to come down to the idea of balance. Whether you're talking about work, you're talking about school, you're talking about family, personal, individual time, everybody, I think, needs a little bit of that, but you have to look at balance. And so a lot of the pressures that come from academics probably come from poor time management. A lot of the time when people struggle with family. It comes with poor time management, and I'm probably not always the best one at that. So
Yeah, I think anybody that's lived long enough can think of at least once, if not a list of times, where we didn't manage our time properly. And transition, right? I'm coming out into a transition. I don't know I'm out of it yet, and it's definitely been a shift of how to balance my time a little better. And of course, you know, one of the strategies is learning, as we probably, once again, I feel like a hypocrite here, learning to say no to things and understanding that there are trade-offs. Everything I say yes to, I'm saying no to something else. Everything I say no to, I'm saying yes to something else. And there are those priorities, and those are things that we can set, but we need to revisit it from time to time.
Well, we all need rest.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody needs rest. Jesus took a break from the crowds. The Lord created the earth and then set an example of a Sabbath, and we've talked about that on here before. But everybody needs a rest, and so when it comes to time pressures, you've got to make sure you have set aside enough time to take a break for yourself, take time with your family. Nobody needs to be a workaholic 100% of the time. And there's so many people who've struggled family life because they've become workaholics. They've sacrificed family, or they've sacrificed their health, or they've sacrificed something for work, or maybe sometimes for their hobbies. I mean, I know guys that they don't spend a whole lot of time doing anything else but hunting, and I love to hunt, but it's not going to be the main thing that I do. So I think we have to all balance that. And we did talk about what are some different things that you can do, planning, planners, something that kind of helps you with marking off things on your calendar or on your to-do list. But also, when it comes to those time pressures and what we do, Colossians chapter 3 is that scripture, verse 23, and that is, do your work to the Lord. Everything that we're doing, we're not doing it to please people, we're doing it to please God. And so, how I treat my family and how I work, the things that I do, what am I putting into them, and thinking along that line.
Yeah, and I love the Bible because of its practicality. And it's amazing to me that if you put God first, you're going to turn to Scripture more, and then Scripture is going to tell you what the priorities are. Of course, faith, family, church, your work, and it's going to bring a lot of balance to your life if you read and study it for yourself. And so, yes, working to the Lord, it takes so much of the emotion out of it. If there's this person that I don't really want to work my best for, but I'm working for the Lord. There's this person that may be a little bit annoying, but I'm working for the Lord. And I think that's well within the context there, because there's some certainly circumstances that we're not comfortable with in the context of some of this. But once again, it's keeping your eyes on the Lord and allowing that relationship to kind of prioritize things, which kind of leads us into the next thing, financial pressure. And I think all of us, once again, at some point that have been on our own at all, have felt some of that pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, financial pressures take their toll. Kind of, we were talking today about this in context of the college student with, college debt. But a lot of families face it, having to deal with, what we have versus what we don't have. And then, just really struggling to, budget, struggling to get ahead on it. And just the way we see it. I know in one of the things that I do with couples before they get married is we talk about what does money mean to you? Is money for status, or is money for security? And, how do we view it? Do we, a lot of times people talk about, is money, do you control your money, or does your money control you? Which one's the master of it? And I think that's so important when you start thinking about financial pressures. If I see money as a tool, as I see money as something that I'm just getting security out of, I'm trying to make sure my family's taken care of. And so that's kind of my number one reason for having it. And I don't stress about that too much. Then that's a great thing. If I see it as status and I've got to do this and I've got to achieve this next level, sometimes that can lead us down the wrong path. I think that's where, we get that verse confused in the Bible. The love of money is the root of all evil, not money is the root of all evil. And so when we love it and when we are just, trying our best to get more and more of it so that we can achieve some status, then that's where I think a lot of people, Timothy, or Paul warns Timothy, that's when people have fallen into the trap, of just wanting money.
There's a great word. We used it today with those college kids and some of their parents that were in the room. Contentment. Contentment. Learn what that is. And I think to your 2 points, what is your contentment with money? What is contentment? Am I chasing what somebody else is doing? Am I always chasing the Joneses? I never really understood that. But contentment. I'm content. I've learned to be content in all circumstances.
Yeah.
And I think even to the Hebrew writer that you mentioned there, like Jesus can be, and to some degree should be enough to live with. So,
well, Philippians 4 is a great place to go with that. It talks, we're all familiar with 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. In the context of that is contentment. It's, there's going to be battles. There's going to be blessings. There's going to be a time when you have a lot of money. There's going to be a time when you don't. There's going to be a time when, you're hungry, and there's going to be a time when you're filled. And so it's a really tough thing sometimes. Life can just be tough sometimes. So you get battles and blessings, and I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. A little later in that, Paul says, I know that God will supply all of our needs. I don't know how many times I've wondered, where's the money going to come for doing this, or this? And somehow, some way, I've not starved yet. God's taking care of us, and God takes care of his people. And I know sometimes there's places, where there are people who are struggling, but either way, God takes care of his people. So,
well, that's a very important thing to remember. Certainly, the creator of the universe can provide all of your needs. And so the next thing is something that we talk a lot about on here, and that is mental health struggles and difficulties that come with that. We talked about anxiety today. We talked about there's a level of anxiety that's necessary to life that gets you out of the bed and gets you going and motivates you. And of course, we now in our 40s have different motivations than maybe we did when we were college kids.
That's true.
I got a hungry mouths to feed at home and take care of and provide. And of course, there's more than that with kids, right? You want them to have good education. You want them to thrive and cultivate that relationship, their relationship with God. And so some, anxiety, depression, those are things that are out. Burnout was one of the things that one of the students said today. Self-esteem and feeling overwhelmed.
And I don't know that any of us get by in life without at least some of that. There are obviously more diagnosable on the level of clinical depressions and anxieties and things like that. But then all of us struggle on some level at some point. And, knowing when to reach out, knowing who to go talk to. For college students, it's knowing to go. You have free counseling as a college student. As far as I know, in just about every school and every college, there's something provided for that. There's ministries.
There's not a whole lot that they tag free in college with.
No.
So take advantage of the free stuff.
I guess you're paying for it on some level, but you've paid ahead for it.
Yes.
So
it's there.
It's there. It's part of why part of your tuition part. So
even more so if you've paid for it.
Go take advantage of it. And there's ministries. There's the Christian student centers where you can oftentimes find support. I think that's important, especially as a college student, to know you're not by yourself, to know that you've got people around you who are thinking the same way. Maybe it's whether it's a faith thing, a Christian student center, or a fraternity or sorority or something that, obviously be careful the kind of influences that you get around, but being a part of those clubs. In your Christian colleges, you have the clubs and things that you can be a part of, but don't isolate yourself. We've talked about that before when it comes to depression, when it comes to other struggles. And so, reaching out to those things, establishing some healthy routines that you can be a part of. And then one of our favorite things we talked about, we have a little book that you can get at our website on gratitude. Thanksgiving's coming up.
The
but
most
you can be
grateful Thanksgiving ever.
but you can be grateful anytime, and having that attitude of gratitude sort of helps with a lot of the different mental health
Told those
struggles.
kids, I mean, I didn't mean to give out homework, but the teacher in me, I told them, hey, 5 minutes every day for the next 7 days, spend time being grateful for the thing, whatever.
Yeah.
Find a reason to be grateful. Game changer.
And God loves us, and He, we are told in Psalm 34 that He is near to the brokenhearted. So part of His divine plan was to give us a family to be a part of, to give us His word to help us. And so He's given those things already because He knew we would struggle at some point. So don't avoid those things. And along with those struggles, sometimes comes, I say run to the church, run to people who are closest to you, but sometimes we have social and relational challenges as well. So you've got these other pressures we've talked about with time and finances and mental health, but sometimes, you find in college, in high school, in life, even when you're older, that you have social and relational challenges, and that can go both ways. Sometimes it's loneliness and isolation, and being away from people, and sometimes it's struggles with conflict. And
A great question is what am I doing, or am I doing anything that's causing the separation? Am I withdrawing?
mm-hmm.
Have I not set healthy boundaries? I think the key phrase there is healthy boundaries. And there are those points where you have only so much bandwidth, and you know this person is going to test those limits. It's okay to set those boundaries, but it's not okay to keep them forever away. Maybe you need some time, maybe you need some space, but you also need to kind of work through those things if possible, right?
Yeah.
As long as it depends on you, be at peace with everyone. And I do know there are people out there that it's very hard to have peace with them because they won't let you.
Yeah.
And that's a different situation. But maybe you need some time apart from somebody that you're close to, but also it's important to try to find ways to maintain the relationship, even if it needs to be at a distance.
Yeah, and then sometimes it's when you get to a certain point in your life and you feel that isolation, find people. Find the people that you need to connect with. And so a lot of people go away to college and they feel isolated, they feel alone. A lot of people start work and they feel the same way. And so finding, whether it's clubs or ministries or study groups or whatever it is that you need to connect to a family, spiritual family, a physical family, friends, whatever those things are. And so, God designed us to be communal. Several scriptures throughout the Bible, Ecclesiastes chapter 4, two are better than one. If you're struggling, it's good to have one next to you. I'm glad to have this guy around most of the time. But we've struggled. We've texted each other when we've struggled. We've called each other when we struggled. We've gone to see each other when we've struggled. We have text groups that do the same thing. I have church family. I have work family, and I feel like I've got a lot of people I can go to. Don't try to do it all alone. Don't try to do life alone. Proverbs chapter 17, friend loves at all time, a brother's born for adversity. So, when you're going through struggles, it's good to have people around you. But yes, sometimes you have to set some boundaries to keep that in a healthy place. So,
and then so much of what we've talked about, we may gain our identity and purpose from. And once again, it's very easy for us as ministers to set our identity as preaching or ministering or as a counselor or a dad, and in themselves those are good things, but ultimately we have to connect our identity to Jesus. Those are all secondary things. Race, ethnicity, sexuality, those are all secondary identities for the Christian. My ultimate identity is in Jesus. My ultimate purpose is in Jesus. But that doesn't mean there aren't times where we struggle with that, and in transitions, or when we go off to college, or we get out of college, or we go into a new job, or we get married, or we have a kid. There's this interpersonal stuff that you have to deal with.
Yeah, that's a hard one. There's so many people that are confused. Like, who am I? What is my identity? What is it that defines me? And some people, find that in what they do. But the problem is, at some point, you're not able to do the things that you did before. If your definition of self is I'm a collegiate basketball player, a collegiate football player, that's great. But you're not always going to be able to be that.
And I'll tell you, I have great concern. There are people who have a concern in my life as kids that all they ever did anytime they had a moment, it was playing ball, playing ball, playing ball, playing ball. And then all of a sudden you graduate from high school and you're not playing ball anymore. And like so much of your identity is wrapped up in that sport, it can be hard to function without it.
And people do that sometimes with, their work, with whatever it is that they do. And then when they retire, they don't know who they are anymore. Yeah. And so it's not that those things aren't important and then I can't go, hey, I do this, but it's really important to make the thing that we know. And this is coming from us, obviously from a Christian background, but I'm a Christian first. Even in the work that I do, I'm a child of God first, then I'm a minister. I'm a child of God, then I'm a counselor. I'm a child of God, and then I'm a husband. And so my identity is not so-and-so's dad or so-and-so's husband, or I'm a school counselor. That's a lot of what I do. It's not who I am. And so I think so many times we, even people get wrapped up in their sexuality. I am this. And I don't think God ever intended for that to be who we are. It's a piece of us, but it's not my full identity. And so recognizing I'm God's workmanship, Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10, created in Christ for good works, and trust in the Lord with all your heart, Proverbs 3. Don't lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him. And so everything that I do, I'm really connecting to who God is. And so whatever those struggles are that you're facing, whatever those things are that you're dealing with, those are kind of some of the more prominent things that a lot of times college age kids are dealing with. But I think it's something that a lot of people deal with. Adolescents deal with them. Young adults deal with them. I think sometimes even, as we said, older adults deal with them when it comes to financial struggles or identity struggles. It can kind of happen at any age.
Is your church looking for meaningful ways to make a kingdom impact? Healing Hands International has been partnering with churches for more than 30 years to make real change possible. HHI is a faith-driven nonprofit that leads life-changing programs like Walk for Water, where communities come together to raise awareness and funds to drill wells around the world. But that is just the beginning. HHI works to aid, equip, and empower communities around the world, teaching families how to grow sustainable gardens or helping women launch small businesses to support their families. And the best part? All of these programs are done in partnership with local church leaders, empowering gospel opportunities. There are so many ways you and your church can get involved. You can host your own Walk for Water. You can pack gift boxes for kids through the Magi program or host a seed packing event. Learn more and get involved today at hhi.org. That's hhi.org.
All right, Ben. The Healing Hands International question of the day. We're closing in. I know there are people out there who have all kinds of different thoughts about Halloween. We grew up in the 80s. You did Halloween. So if you're upset about that, turn the show off now. But Ben, favorite Halloween outfit, man, growing up.
Ooh.
Did you? I do have another question.
Okay.
We had a clown costume that made the rounds. I want to say it was just the creasy side. I mean, it was like a plastic clown mask and like the thinnest material, like plastic, like almost a grocery sack plastic bodysuit that I think made its way through the creasy family, like cousins and all. Was that a part of yours?
I don't remember.
And then what is your favorite one that you had growing up?
I don't really remember a lot of the ones I had growing up. I can name, I don't even remember if I wore this for Halloween or I was just weird about dressing up a lot of times.
We used to have a Halloween like church party.
Yeah, we did. And it was at our house.
Yeah.
I think that year, I remember that costume because I was dressed like a cheerleader, I think, for some reason.
I think you and I both dressed as a cheerleader.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if you dressed like a football player and I was like a cheerleader. Anyway, it was real weird. And I just remember because I busted the door open and announced your presence being there while they were saying a prayer. And so it was a little bit embarrassing at that point. one of the things I remember dressing up, because I've seen the picture over and over again, was I had like a white glove like Michael Jackson, and
Perfect.
I kind of had like the black sunglasses and all that. So I can remember dressing up that way. What I do remember the most, and I think you can remember
Oh,
this
this is
too.
a great story.
What I remember, well, I don't know, it may not be that story. I just remember the awful plastic masks
Oh yeah, yeah.
that you
yeah.
breathe into, and they're just water all
Oh,
on
yeah.
the inside of them.
Yeah.
And they were freaky masks anyway. I think I did a He-Man one year.
Yeah, no,
with
I
that
remember
on.
that. Yeah,
So I think that's the one I kind of remember the most.
Oh, I was
what were you
remembering
gonna
the
think?
time you slipped and fell
Into
the ditch that was filled with water.
I did that,
Aunt
and it was
Myra's,
cold that year too.
Yeah, Aunt Myra's neighborhood slipped and fell.
I
just
do
engulfed in
remember
this ditch.
going to Myra's all the time, walking around the circle. That was kind of our go-to. Several years ago, our family, once I was an adult, I had all my kids. I dressed as Gru, and Kenya dressed as the wife of Gru, and then we had a couple. The girls were the stair step girls in the movie, Minions movie, and then the boys were the Minions. So we had that was pretty cool.
I've got a Travis Kelce shirt coming.
Nice.
And Whitney is going to be
Taylor Swift.
So we're pretty excited about that. But anyways, we hope you're all doing well. We hope to talk at you again soon. Have a wonderful week. Don't forget your homework, 5 minutes of gratefulness today.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.